celebrating the power of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Gingi Bakri, Part 1.
Welcome to Anything is Possible. These are great stories about great people whose lives prove possibility. This is Gingi Bakri. Thank you for being with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
The owner and proprietor of Cotton Eye Joe. First of all, how did the club get the name?
The name is a very interesting story. I had different names, and my buddy looked at me, who was my roommate in college. He goes, "No, let's pick a name. We need to put 20 different names on a sheet of paper." I said, "Okay." So we came with different names and ideas, and one of them was the Cotton Eye Joe. So we did a survey. So he had some of his people walk around, just ask, show the names, and say, which one do you like? And the Cotton Eye Joe name won like 20-1.
Wow.
So I looked at him, I was like, something's wrong with these people, but that's the name it was gonna be.
So it was a survey.
That is perfect.
Survey says
Yes,
Cotton Eye Joe.
yes.
Where are you from?
I was born in Palestine, and in the 70s, early 70s, my family had to move to Jordan, in a town called Hebron, and we are the neighbors of Abraham. Abraham tombs is literally 300 yards from our house.
Wow.
Where my grandfather used to live.
What was it like growing up there?
It's, there's a book, it's called Walking the Bible and the Ancient Civilization. That's what it felt like now, me looking at it from the outside. When you live in something and you see it every day, you kind of do not appreciate what you have till you get out of it and look at it from the outside. So I was walking in streets that people walked for thousands of years, 500 years. In America, we're a young nation here. 200 years, we think it's old. 200 years in the Middle East or overseas in Palestine, that's young.
Right.
So, I'm looking at buildings I pray in, that's where Abraham tomb, since King Solomon, been built by King Solomon. And so everything there is very traditional, very unique, very beautiful. The people are wonderful, of course. Of course, people are wonderful everywhere you go. There's good everywhere you go.
Tell me about your parents.
My dad passed away about close to 10 years ago. My mom living, and she had me when she was 15. So I'm her like friend. And she lives in Jordan with my brothers and sisters. All of them are married, and I have a very big family. There is 7 us boys and 4 sisters.
Wow.
And one mom and dad. And every Friday, all the sisters and the brothers must come home. So every Friday, mom cooks, and everybody comes and have lunch together.
What kind of guy was your dad?
He was wonderful. I learned one thing from my dad. During the most difficult time, he always smiled. So a couple times I've seen my dad in a situation I do not wish it on anybody, and when he looked at me, he always smiled.
Why do you think that was? Because I know he had a very difficult time. I mean, we're kind of racing through his story, but he went through hell.
He did, and because of my grandfather, I think.
What happened?
I lived in Palestine, or some people would call Israel. In the Bible, it says Palestine, so I believe what the Bible said. In the early 40s, the Zionists moved to Palestine. In 67, they took over my hometown called Hebron, and that's where Abraham's tomb is buried. And my dad became an active political fighter and active against what the enemy is doing. So he was jailed. They blew our house up. They killed 2 of my uncles. Of course, this is nothing comparing to what happened to other families. I mean, our story is like a drop in the bucket, what you call. So at the end, he was jailed in the Israeli prisons and got deported to Jordan. During that time, while he was in Palestine, the Israeli military blew our house up, killed two of my uncles, And the most difficult time I've seen growing up, I'm talking about 5, maybe 6 years old child. The military came in and I saw my dad. I lived in the country. We had grape farms and wheat farms and chicken and a little bit goats. So my first job, I was a shepherd. So the military surrounded the house. Of course, me being a kid, I thought my dad was free. I know my dad was in Israeli prisons, but they threw him from the back of a military armor. And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, "Give me your hand." He asked me if he could not get up because he was tortured so bad he could not walk. And his feet were burned. So I ran to the house. My grandfather was sitting outside drinking coffee, my grandmother, and my mom and my sisters. It was me and 2 other sisters. And I was yelling, "Hey, Dad is free, Dad is free." Little I know, my dad was not free. They came to blow the house up. So my dad looked at me and smiled. And I never forgot that. We go visit him in the Israeli prison, he always smiled. So he was shooting me with energy that nobody understands. So I knew everything was okay. So to today, it doesn't matter what happened, I will always smile. And because everything's fine, there's more important things in life than worry about your house or what happened. Your kids is alive, you start get all your body parts. You got up this morning. That's the biggest gift that Lord can give you, is you get up every morning and you have enough food for that day. So I knew I was fine that day when my mom gathered, or she had to trap some rabbits or chuckers or quail or type of bird flew. We had enough food for that day. So I knew I was the richest guy in the valley.
Wow. Let's take a break. This is Gingi. You're watching Anything is Possible, because it is.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
Every day I went to school, I got shot at. So the positive thing is I made it. Every day going back to school and getting home.
So I want to pick up with your father's smile. My grandmother raised 7 kids during the Great Depression, and she would smile all the time.
Yes.
And I remember asking her, my father told me to go talk to her, because he said, "You want to meet somebody really successful, here's this lady."
That's right.
She didn't have this.
That's right.
And she told me, when things are going bad, your kids look at your face to see if it's true.
That's right.
And she said, I learned to smile future tense, not about the way things
That's right.
were, but she said, my smile was an act of defiance.
Yep, it is.
You cannot break me,
That's correct.
right?
And that's, if people live by that, we all be doing well.
So you saw this, you saw what was happening to people that you loved and the place that you loved, but you also saw him powering through that with a smile.
Yes.
What did that do to you?
It made me very positive, looking forward on everything. So it doesn't matter what situation you have, you always find the good in it. There's always good somewhere. You and I may not know it that moment, only the Creator, the Lord, will know. Because we may think something good happened to us and is good for us, and it could be bad.
Yeah,
And something bad happened to us,
could be good.
it could be good. So you just live the moment and always find the good in everything.
So how do you end up, did anything bad happen to you because of what was swirling in Jordan at that time?
I do. Every day I went to school, I got shot at. So the positive thing is I made it. Every day going back to school and getting home.
Were you ever jailed? Did you ever have to serve any time?
Not in Jordan or Palestine, but I did in the United States.
What happened?
I got in trouble with some taxes, tax misdemeanors, and ended up going to Kentucky, federal prison or federal camp.
What did that feel like?
And, you know...
And did you, that's the moment where you have to test this life philosophy that you have, because no ill intent on your part, but here's where you end up.
Yes.
did you power through that with your father's smile?
Absolutely. I looked at it the moment I walked in. I felt actually bad for my brother and some friends who dropped me off because they walked out and they were crying. And I looked at them, I was like, I'm the one who's gonna stay and you were going home and you're crying. I said, man up. And they just looked at me, it's like, okay. So when I walked in, I remembered the first time when I used to visit my dad in prison. And I looked around, I said, oh man, this is nothing comparing to what my dad went through.
Can you imagine what that would have been like, though, if you hadn't seen your father go through what he went through?
Yes.
Like he put something in you.
He did.
That experience could not take out of you.
That's right.
How did you end up in the U.S. to begin with?
My dad, when he got deported to Jordan, he became a very successful businessman. And at one time, he probably owned every ounce of gold in the Kingdom of Jordan.
Really?
Yes.
So that's super success. What business was he in?
Trading gold from the country, outside the country. And
How much do you think he was worth?
I don't know. His wealth was in his smile and his look at me. And we were there that night. He was home and all of us were home. And he was smiling.
Right.
So to see what he had and what he did not have, that was the last thing.
That was not it.
No.
But he was very wealthy.
Yes. And at one time he lost it all. And he got it back again. It just up and down in business, world of business. You never know what you're going to have tomorrow.
Right.
And I ended up going to England to learn English, to go to school. As a matter of fact, I got accepted by Oxford University. And a friend of my dad talked to me into going to the United States to come to school there. And just to give you a picture of what people say, media about other countries. So when I grew up, all I saw on TV is the race discrimination and the drug problems, and you may get killed for a nice tennis shoes on in America. I was like, I am not going to America.
Right.
And he goes, oh man, just go for 30 days. That was 30 years ago. So I came to the States and I went to Tennessee-Wilson College, started Tennessee-Wilson College in Athens, Tennessee. Then I transferred to UT, University of Tennessee, and graduated in economics.
Why'd you choose economics?
It was the easiest subject.
Really?
Yes.
What made economics so easy to you? Because your father was a great businessman, you were around business, you understood?
Things are a gift. I mean, I did not have the great point, average, but things are gifts. Some people are great to read books. Some people are great to be a doctor. Some people are great to be in science. Some people are great to be in geography and history. We all have a different click in life.
Right, and that was your click. Now,
that was my click.
Looking at you, you are a very impressive, you're a large man. Did you play football? Did you play sports? Or are you just a big guy?
I played a little bit of soccer, but the Lord blessed me not to like sports. I am the least guy who will like sports. But I do watch the Super Bowl and the national final for the baseball with the friends. But I got other things to do with my time. I can be with my daughter at the barn, working with the horses, or brushing horses, or hunting outside in the woods, or just watching God's creation.
But you've got
guns.
It's a gun show, baby.
Some people have guns and some people have cannons. I got cannons. But
so tell me about bodybuilding. When did that start for you?
I was 6'4", 160-pound guy. So when I used to see that on TV, that there's places in America people can go work out. So the first day I came to the States, I looked at the guy, I said, hey man, where's those places where people go work out? He goes, gym. I said, yeah. So he showed me a gym, and that was it.
That was it.
And I started working out. And it's good for me, mentally it makes me feel good about yourself, and it's how you feel. You are what you feel yourself every day.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about your journey into the world of business, because you graduated in economics and you got to figure out what you're going to do.
Yes.
And my understanding is you got to America and liked it. You were like, wait a minute, what I saw and what I heard is a different thing.
That's right.
And when you tell your dad, hey, I think I'm going to
stay.
Yeah, he had a different response. We'll find out about that in just a moment. You're watching Anything is Possible. More in a moment.
Coming up,
I opened a business that is the most American business, which is a country place that I can play country music, you can dance country dances, and have country bands.
This is Anything is Possible. Back to our story. So you come to America, start at Tennessee Wesleyan, graduate from the University of Tennessee in economics, and you like it here. You found the gym, you found this great country, you let your dad know, I think I'm gonna stay here. What was his response?
His response, he just looked at me, he goes, you're gonna stay there, you're on your own.
And that meant the money's cut off.
That's it.
Ooh.
So after I finished, I started working as security. And in 86, 87, I started working for this company, also in the entertainment business. So I became the manager. And in late 80, early 91, I left that company and I went to see my roommate in college. And I said, Terrell, I need to find a job. And he goes, well, you know what you're good at. I said, why is that? He said, entertainment. I said, okay. He goes, we need to open you a place. So I came with this plan, he and I, and of course I didn't have any money. So we came with a company and we sold stocks. I had to raise $250,000 for people I never met, don't know.
How'd you do that?
Yes, and I sold the stocks. Even the attorney, I gave him some shares for his trouble. And those people, you know, I appreciate what they did and thank you very much. They got their thing and I got my thing now, and I bought them all out. And it's been going since then.
Wow, so you start Cotton Eye Joe.
Yes.
By raising $250,000
Yes.
and just going into a business that, did you know anything about running a club? That's a different thing.
I never met a drink in my life, I can tell you that.
You
I
don't
never
drink?
opened a beer.
You don't drink.
I never had a drink in my life, thanks be to God. Never tasted beer, wine, or alcohol. I did smoke a cigarette one time. It was half a cigarette. So,
But you're going into this
Yes.
to this business where you're going to sell beer,
Yes.
wine, whatever. And so how do you get this going? Because you decide on first of all, the life cycle of the average nightclub is typically somewhere like 3 to 5 years.
That's
if you're
actually
lucky.
long, yes.
If you're lucky. In these big cities, they just churn. I mean, they
That's
start and then they close, and they start and they close. Even in middle market America, they start and then they close, and they start and they close. And people, you've been in business for 23 years.
yes.
And you decided to do country themed, or at least that's part of the brand. And you're Gingi Bakri.
I opened a business that is the most American business, which is a country place that I can play country music, you can dance country dances, and have country bands. And that is the most American business for me from cultural point of view. So it's easy if you have the common sense and you have the will. And I'm there to make money. And I run my business pretty good. I look at my people I work with as my partners. And I am there to provide a good time for people to have fun. People working all day. We need a place to go have a drink or get a quesadilla or a burger and relax. And I was that guy to provide that for them.
So you just decided, I'm going to do it. Now,
That's
when you
right.
opened up, first week of business, what happened?
First day we opened on a Wednesday night, I had 4,000 people want to come into the business.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Your first day in business.
Yes.
When you said 4, I was waiting for 100.
No.
You had 4,000 people.
Yes.
What kind of marketing brings 4,000 people on an opening night? On a Wednesday?
Gingi. I did a 30-day free advertising kind of a tease. but I never told people what is it. It says 25,000 square feet of fun. Stay tuned. So in the early 90s, country and be Southwestern style, that was the thing. That's what everybody want to go for. The achy breaky heart song just put everything upside down. So everybody want to be in the scene. Everybody want to be in that cowboy hat and boots. So I did the game right, which is 30 days prior to open of tease advertising. And the people who knew me, they knew what I was doing. So, and the opening night, the place is completely different what it is today. I mean, I had no carpet. The ceilings were white. The floor was white, but it was a warehouse that's 25 to 30,000 square feet building. And I had the DJ booth is an 18-wheeler truck that looks like came out of the wall.
Wow.
Yes. And that night I had the truck covered. I had a smoke machine. And 9 o'clock, it says, ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the national anthem. So everybody stood up. It was hot, packed, people sweating. All of a sudden you hear, 18-wheeler, and it crashes through the wall. So we took the sheets down, the unveiling of the truck, and the smoke was like dust, and all of a sudden, 2,000 people doing this. And they played the Kanajo song.
Wow.
And that's been going since then.
Let's take a break. When we come back in our next episode, you're going to hear the rest of this story of possibility. This is Gingi. You're watching Anything is Possible.